everybody. Dean Whiting here, Pathology Technology Australia. And today we start a short mini-series on COVID-19 with our very special guest, Professor Mary Louise McLaws. Mary Louise, as many of you know, is epidemiologist at the University of New South Wales and also is a representative to the World Health Organization on infection control and detection. So, Mary Louise, welcome.
Thank you very much, Dean.
Yeah, look, we're really looking forward to this series. And look, we'd like to kick off, I guess, with the most topical aspect at the moment, and that's the new, what we call it, a variety of concern. What's it called? So
it's a variant of concern.
Variant of concern. It follows the traditional now naming convention, which uses the Greek alphabet, and this one's called Omicron, which is what, the 15th letter of the Greek alphabet. And we've missed out a couple of the letters, I noticed. I think we missed out Xi. It was one of the ones that were missed out. And I think we missed one other as well. Anyway, that's beside the point. Mary Louise, well, what's the latest with the Omicron variant of concern?
Well, I think the latest is we still don't know. There's a lot of hopeful discussion about the fact that it could be more transmissible but less pathogenic, which, you know, people say, well, that's great. It could take over Delta, cause less hospitalization, cause less death, and it could become the most, common variant of concern, which then could change the future of this pandemic. But I think that that is not epidemiologically led at that wish. At the moment, we know that about 61% of cases to date in South Africa have been between 0 and 39 years of age. So, of course, they're young. And this is not unusual. The majority of cases prior to Delta and Alpha were all of the young group. And in fact, it was mainly between the 20 and 39 because children didn't get any of the wild strain. And then Delta happened. And now this one, Omicron, and it's still too early to know if it's mild. But mathematically, once the number of infections increase and it becomes more commonplace across the middle age and the elderly, then we might be able to know with more certainty that this is just a mild infection.
I guess the other thing is that people are starting to get fatigued with this whole COVID pandemic. I know, being a Melbourne person, we've probably suffered more than many. I think we still hold the world record for the lockdown rate. So people around everywhere are starting to get fatigued, but this is probably not the time to take our foot off the gas, really, is it? What should we be continuing to do here?
Yes. We should be continuing to do what the Director General at WHO says, and that is test and vaccinate. Test, and vaccinate. So, of course, we don't know what we're dealing with unless we test. We don't know if this is going to be more problematic for the elderly or for the kids. So we really do need to do more testing, particularly with rapid antigen testing, to keep workplaces safe and to keep schools and childcare centres safe. In New South Wales alone, we've had over 700 schools closed and over 300 childcare centres closed. And that causes problems for parents as well, who need to then stay home with kids, let alone any other workplace.
Yes, so I guess really that the mantra here is test, test, test. And if people are concerned about, do tests still work with Omicron, the good news is that, yes, they do. All of the evidence at the moment is that in Australia, the PCR tests that we use and the way that we use them are actually a very good way of detecting the Omicron variant of concern. That's because we measure a number of different targets on the RNA, the viral RNA, and when we see the spike RNA target missing, that gives us a very good indication to the fact that we're dealing with an Omicron variant of concern. And it's the same with the rapid antigen tests. We're very confident that rapid antigen tests will continue to work extremely well. And this is because the way that the rapid antigen tests are set up is to detect the nucleocapsid protein, which is the protein that surrounds the core RNA. And that part of the virus is really quite highly conserved. And so we don't expect there to be any real issues associated with rapid antigen tests either. So the good news is that the variant, even though it's here, the good news is that we can test for it and test quite effectively. And Mary Louise, the jury is still out on how virulent and how much effect this is going to have on the population, right?
That's correct. Now, if it's has the same level of virulence, if it has even the same level of transmission and the same level of vaccine efficacy, if people are double vaccinated, and they've been double vaccinated for quite some time, as Israel has shown, where at 6 months you're at a great risk of having waning neutralizing antibodies, then you really do need to test people coming in from overseas. And, our top countries that are coming in from overseas are some of those countries that today, 29 of them, have had at least one Omicron infection that they found. So we can't just allow people to come in, even if they are residents or citizens, without testing immediately. And then I'd prefer that they were tested on day 4, which is when the viral load should be high. And then again on day 5 or day 6, or wait till day 8 maybe. But we really do need to use some take-home tests so that we know what we're dealing with.
Mm. And that's a wonderful segue to our next topic, which will indeed be the importance of vaccination. So I guess we'll draw this little recording to an end, and then ask you to look out for our next one, which will deal with vaccination. So thank you, Mary Louise, and so long for now.